Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. So, this is my first video on Andrew Tate. But I'm not going to go into the statements Andrew Tate makes, whether it's controversial, whether it's legit, whether it's this or that. I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to go into a different perspective. And that is, if you go back to my videos and when I first began to do dawah, it was somewhere between roughly 15 years ago, okay, on social media. And when we used to discuss Islam with Christians, when we used to discuss Christianity with Christians, when we used to tell Christians that what you are doing as a society, the practices that you are indulging in, the un-Christian values you are indulging in, it's not biblical. We used to argue day and night. You go back to the days of Pal Talk, right? We used to argue with these Christians. We used to tell them that Jesus didn't teach these things in the Bible, the things that you believe in. The secular law, the liberal laws that you follow, their moral standards that you follow, that's not what Jesus taught. And these Christians used to argue with us back and forth. These Trinitarian, hard-lined Christians used to literally argue with us constantly, saying, you Muslims are so backwards, you're not progressive, you're not getting in touch with reality, you're not living up to true moral standards, right? And Jesus came to preach peace and tolerance. How dare you Muslims speak against LGBTIQ? How dare you Muslims preach about women covering up? I mean, this is unethical. Don't you Muslims believe in freedom and liberal values? And we used to tell them that Jesus' own mother, Mary, she used to dress in a modest way, We used to tell them that Jesus used to uphold the law, the biblical laws. Jesus condemned homosexuality. And the Christians in return used to say, to Caesar be Caesar, right? To Caesar be Caesar, meaning that there's a difference between church and a difference between politics, and we shouldn't mix the two. And we should coexist. We should be tolerant of everything and everyone. This is what the Christians used to teach. In all honesty, if Andrew Tate came out and started preaching 20 years ago, he would be hard-lined Christian. He would be against Islam. In fact, Andrew Tate would probably be in favor of liberal democracy and secularism. He would be in favor of LGBTIQ. He would. But Andrew Tate, like a lot of the Christians now, have woken up, right? Of course, Andrew Tate became a Muslim now. But Andrew Tate has woken up. They tasted modern era. The last 50 years, they've tasted what secular liberalism has done to their faith, has done to Christianity. They became so tolerant of everything that their schools, their education systems, they were no longer even Christian. The only thing that was preached there was godlessness, liberal secular LGBTIQ values, transgender, Darwinism and evolution, trying to bring them away from God, Allah, or away from their Christian view of God, as they say Jesus. And they can see the decline of Christianity because they've become tolerant of everything. They can see this. Within 2050, Islam will be the dominant religion. It will. They can see that they're not having any more families. They're not procreating. They're in a decline. Their population is decreasing. Because Islam teaches to have families, to have children. They've substituted children with animals. I know couples who are married for about 40 years, they don't have children. I spoke to her, an Asian Christian woman. She said, no, I can't waste my time with children. I need to keep traveling with my husband. If I have a child, it's going to set me back. This is what they believe in. And look, this is why they're on a decline. One reason they're on a decline. I remember even Christians used to innovate certain ideals, such as, the most holy people don't even get to marry. They're married to the church. Celibacy, right? They get married to the church. That's it. They don't, Jesus is my bride, right? This is what they say. So they innovate these lies, even into the Bible, that you're more holy if you're not married. Innovation. And look, their population is decreasing. And so, when we used to say this, when we used to tell them, stay away from this, don't get sucked into this liberal secular value. They've made you change your religion. Secular liberalism removed the church from the Constitution. People are now governed not by Jesus' law, not by God's law. No. They're governed by secular, liberal, godless ideology. And their societies have become corrupt, perverted, corruption, sexual exploitation of women. Adultery and fornication is rampant. Christians turn their eyes. We used to say to them, close your nightclubs. What are you doing? You're a Christian country. Close your nightclubs. What is this? You've got naked women everywhere. They had the Mardi Gras, the gay naked Mardi Gras. I'm like, why aren't you guys standing up to this? Oh, no, Jesus said to Caesar, be Caesar. No. Let them have their laws. They compromised. They became so tolerant. Now what happened? The older generation became so tolerant. Now their children have accepted LGBTIQ values and all the transgender values. And all the values of fornicating and committing adultery. Andrew Tate says they go to church on Sunday. They go nightclubbing Friday, Saturday, going out, drinking up, sleeping with as many girls. Come Sunday, they're going to church to ask Jesus for forgiveness. Hypocrisy. They ask for forgiveness, and then next week they go again. Back to nightclub, back to fornicating, back to sleeping with as many women. Back on Sunday to church, ask Jesus for forgiveness. A repetition. Keep going. It's like a continuous cycle. They're playing a mockery with God now. Literally mockery. Like, I'll just go do as many sins as I want, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll just go do some lip service. Pray to Jesus. Yep, he'll forgive. Why go to church to ask for forgiveness then? Don't even go to church to ask for forgiveness, because Jesus will forgive anyway. Why are you wasting your time at the church? If all your sins are forgiven, keep doing what you're doing. So they're playing a mockery with God. Oh, look at those Muslim women. They're so oppressed. You make them wear their hijabs and so forth like this. And these people, they've lost their children to all sorts of immorality. And we used to tell them, Jesus and the New Testament used to preach that if a woman cannot cover her hair, then she should cut it all off. This is what it says. Oh, no. There's a different interpretation. We don't believe in your interpretation that women should cover up, blah, 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 blah. And they've become so indecent that there's no morals left in their dress code. No morals left. Wearing all sorts of clothes, right? Barely anything. These are Christian girls. And then they wear that cross necklace, the cross necklace that goes in between the cleavage, right? Again, mockery of Islam. Now they're believing in? No. I swear, there's now a Christian movement. Now the Christian movements are becoming more orthodoxy, a little bit more fundamental. They're coming a little bit back to their roots. They want to hold on to those traditions now, right? Because now they can see how rampant the corruption has become, how immoral women have become and men have become. And so now they're trying to come back to the Christian roots. Christians, we were warning you about this 10 to 15 to 20 years ago. We were warning you about this. We were warning you about the avalanche. We were warning you about all the crisis is going to come. And you go to Jordan Peterson's podcasts or YouTube videos, you see even in the comment sections, Christians actually saying, we need to join the Muslims to fight the common enemy. Well, these same Christians who are calling Islam the Antichrist religion, the false religion, the religion of Mohammedans, the religion of the pagan Arabs, as they say, they accuse Islam of being paganism, a moon god, the devil god, they're now saying we need to join the Muslims to fight the common enemy. Who's the common enemy? The atheist, the liberals, the far leftists, the transgender, LGBTIQ, right? We need to come together to fight the Antichrist. Now the Antichrist isn't Islam anymore. The Antichrist is the secular liberalists, the LGBTIQ followers, the ones that follow the rainbow flag, the atheist, the Darwinists, the ones that are anti-religion. We now, apparently, Muslims, Jews, Christians, we need to now unite to fight the common enemy. Because Christians have got no other option now. They're falling, they're gone, their religion is almost non-existent. In Australia, a census was completed between the demographic of religion, statistics, and non-religion is like parallel, equal to those who follow religion in a majority Christian nation like Australia. Right? So the Christians are like, our ship is sunken. We need Islam now. We need Muslims by our side now. We need to propagate with Muslims. We need to hold hands with them and now fight the common enemy. The same guys that were saying, oh, your religion came 600 years later, it's a false religion, it's an antichrist religion. These Christians are now joining with Muslim fractions. The same Christians 10, 15 years ago insulting us, insulting our way of life, saying use a backwards, use a brain dead, use a Neanderthals. They used to depict us as Neanderthals. We used to tell them, for example, adultery was very bad. We used to give them biblical verses that Jesus stoned the adulteresses, right? The ones who cheat on their spouses. Jesus, according to them, he's the God of the Old Testament apparently, and there's instructions to literally kill adulteresses. This was according to the law, right? Biblical Judaic law. Christians were like, oh no, but there's a passage in the New Testament where, an adulterous woman was brought to Jesus, and then Jesus repelled the Jews and said, those without sin cast the first stone. And Christians were literally twisting this verse to say, oh look, we're modern now, we're liberal now, if you want to commit adultery, Jesus doesn't care. Jesus doesn't care about adultery now. Yeah? And we used to tell the Christians, well, you claim that Jesus is sinless, correct? Sinless. Okay, he's sinless. So why didn't he throw the first stone? Oh, don't go there. Don't use that against us now. You just quoted when Jesus said, those without sin cast the first stone. Jesus was there, right? So either Jesus did have sin and he was part of that and he couldn't stone her. But if he is sinless, as you claim, then he should have stoned her. And then didn't Jesus say, I did not come to change the law, but I came to what? Fulfill the law? Fulfill means to add to the law, not to change or destroy it, right? He can add new things to the law. Doesn't mean he changes the law, right? We used to quote those verses to the Christians about looking at adultery as something so evil and that you should stay away from it. And Jesus didn't, just think that this wasn't something bad. He did believe this was something bad. But Christians were going into these verses to manipulate, twist those verses so to conform with modernity. Because secular liberalism believes that, if a person chooses to commit adultery, he can. If it's consensual between him and his wife and he wants to commit adultery, he can. This is what atheist liberal thought believes in. They believe in even consensual adultery. You can go commit adultery as long as it's consensual. And so Christians became so tolerant in everything in following this atheistic viewpoint that look what's become. They can't hold marriages. Their divorce rates are skyrocketing. Right? Because, Jesus really didn't look at adultery as something bad. So, Jesus will forgive it anyway, right? There's no repercussions. It's an artificial religion. Christianity is really artificial. It's tolerant of everything. It's become tolerant of everything. Their new version of Christianity has become tolerant of everything. And so now Christianity becoming an artificial religion couldn't answer and fix the problems they face in society. Right? That's why, church was separated from the constitution. Now you could have organizations preaching adultery, preaching atheism. Christian kids are now growing up to become atheists because they're exposed to atheist propaganda, which is allowed on mainstream TV. And there was no banning, there was no stopping, suppressing these organizations. And so they infiltrated their tentacles in all sorts of spaces in society and organizations, including LGBTIQ. And that's why when the Christian kid comes home and starts questioning his sexuality, and the father steps in and says, no, he's called an homophobe. And then the child then goes and reaches out to these organizations that persuade him, no, it's okay, this is normal behavior, you have every right to question your sexuality, homosexuality is completely legitimate and natural, and this is the way we think. And so these kids are now grown up with all this propaganda, and then they become homosexuals through these propaganda materials. They're persuaded into this, that it's natural. So this is their punishment. Allah has given them their punishment in this dunya. In this dunya, Allah has given them punishment. He said, you want to twist the Bible? You want to change the verses? You want to manipulate the Bible? You want to fabricate ideas? You want to become tolerant of everything? Then here, taste it. And look what is now going to happen to your civilization. And they're destroyed now. They're completely destroyed. And so their last attempt now is to say, come here, Islam, you antichrist religion, come here, let me hold your hand. Let's do this together. Let's stand together now, side by side. It's too late, Christians. I say to you, it's too late. The horse is already bolted. We were telling you this. And you're telling us that we are brainwashed, we are back-minded, we're possessed by the devil, we're an antichrist religion. Here you go. Taste now what you used to accuse us of. And that's why Andrew Tate came to Islam, because he could see that we Muslims are the true believers. We hold on to the true haqq, we hold on to the truth. We don't compromise in our religion. Of course, you have the secular liberal Muslims who have deviated. You'll always have that minority group, unfortunately, because they live in Western culture and they're influenced by the same propaganda and liberal machine, and they've become tolerant of everything. I have a friend who actually says to me, Christians are going to go to Jannah as well. He's become tolerant of everything now. And I said to him, a Buddhist going to go to Jannah? A Hindu's going to go to Jannah? He says all paths lead to God. So he's become tolerant of everything too. And I said to him then, why are you Muslim? If you're tolerant of everything, why are you praying 5 times a day? If everything and everyone is going to lead to God and go to Jannah, why are you praying? Why are you Muslim? Why do you read the Quran? Go read a Buddhist scripture. In fact, why tie yourself with Islam? What do you have to get up for Fajr in the morning? Why do you have to go to Hajj? Why do you have to fast? Why are you punishing yourself? If you believe that, all paths, they all lead to God and that you all go to heaven, why waste your time with Islam? And why should anyone come to your religion? If we're all going to lead to Jannah, why should they come to Islam then? And that's why these people, they hardly do any religious propagation, right? But for some reason, they're praying. For some reason, they're reading the Quran. For some reason, they claim they're Muslim. If you ask them what your religion is, they'll say Islam. Why say you're Islam if all paths lead to... So they have, again, and this is what happens, right? Because they live in, again, the Western culture. They don't want to hurt the feelings of the non-Muslims. Some of these secular liberal Muslims, they don't want to hurt the feelings. Oh, they can't say, you're going to hell, right, if you don't believe. No, they can't, because, they don't want to hurt their feelings. And that the same road that Christianity took. Christians didn't want to hurt the feelings of homosexuals and say, oh, you're going to hell. In fact, Christians went to such an extent that they even invented the idea that hell doesn't even exist. Hell is just a dark place. It's nothingness. There's no punishment. No hellfire anyway. There's no torture. There's no agony. This was refuted by a Christian apologist called Matt Slick. You can go to his website. Is hell real? Is it literal? And this is the issue, right? So they became tolerant of everything. They accepted everything. They reformed Christianity to such an extent that it literally became a non-religion, just artificial in practice. Religion is something that you do in your own time. Don't impose it on anyone. But secular liberalists love to impose their ideologies on everyone else. You don't conform, you're either homophobe, or you're radical, or you're extreme, or you're intolerant. If you don't believe in their values, then you're backwards. So we'll end the video there. This is just another reminder, another slap in the face that we were telling you this. We were discussing this. You can go back to some of my videos I produced 10 to 15 years ago. You can go back to some of those videos. You can see me arguing with Christians to follow the laws of Jesus, follow the Bible, and you'll actually see Islam. You'll actually see a lot of Islam there, but they're like, oh, no, that's a misinterpretation. Oh, you're just going into the Bible to put your radical spin and misinterpret it and try and claim that Jesus was like a Muslim, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we'll leave it there.